What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Ackle here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. Today, we are dealing in spoilers, and business is a booming. Yes, if you don't want spoilers, now would be the time to click off. Because what we're about to discuss today is going to have potentially massive future implications for the story, and it could actually be somewhat world-shattering and definitely divisive. A lot of people are not going to like this. We're going to get into the spoilers in a minute. Remember the deal. If you like what I have to say, if by the end of the video you go, Acklon, you know what? I'm on board with everything you had to say, you hit the like button. If not, you hit the dislike button and we forget this ever happened. If you've already hit the like button, you're a little rebel, and I love you. Thank you so much for that. Remember, if you really want to be a degenerate, you can join us over on Twitch, Patreon, or become a YouTube member. All degenerates are always loved on this channel. And with that said, let's get into it, shall we? So I could do the whole, let's talk for 5 minutes about random stuff, keep you in suspense, but I'm not gonna. Let's talk about Malfurion, Tyrande, and Ysera. The immediate spoilers before we get into the discussions around it is simple. Malfurion will be the one to give his life for Ysera to return as the aspect. Now, this comes thanks to data-mined quest text, or I guess quest conversation around bringing Ysera back. The data-mined version of this was found on Reddit first. It has since been confirmed by Ian Bates, I believe, over on Rachel Guy, over on Twitter, and it's been making the rounds. It's been making massive headlines throughout the WoW community, with, as you can imagine, the WoW community being split, to say the very least. Now, there's a lot of interesting things that come out of this conversation that we will be touching on today, but the short gist of it is that Ysera needs to come back to be the green aspect again. We were told when the Winter Queen handed the Tear of Elune to Tyrande, and Ysera spoke to Tyrande, telling Tyrande to take the tear to her daughter. We were told that there would have to be a sacrifice. At the time, though, Tyrande didn't seem too bothered by this sacrifice. She was willing to pay that price. Of course, she didn't understand what that price would mean. And Malfurion says that it is him. He is the one that needs to sacrifice himself in order for Ysera to come back. And this is where we get to the first really interesting bit. Malfurion speaks of fate. Now, fate has been brought up before in World of Warcraft. Very recently, actually, I believe during Legion. We found out for the first time that fate may be an entity. At some point, I can't remember the exact source, so please do not quote me. I might be wrong, or you can let me know in the comment section if you remember. But I believe at some point they were talking about the Sisters of Fate, and very specifically as if this is an entity in World of Warcraft. So fate isn't just the thing, Everyone knows what fate is. Fate is our lives, and if something happens, it's either fated or it isn't. In World of Warcraft, it seems like fate is an actual thing, and that fate requires certain things. Now, Malfurion explains to Tyrande that when Ysera died in Val'sharah, when she gave her life to try and save Malfurion, it was not her time. It was not her fate. But fate seems to be happy. Fate required a life that day. It didn't get the life that it wanted, but a life is a life, and that fate will settle for that. But now we're looking to reverse what have happened there. Fate is about to lose a life, and for fate, this is unacceptable. Fate demands that a life be traded for a life, and in this instance, fate does not require just any life. Fate requires the life that was meant to be sacrificed on that day. In other words, Malfurion. He has to be the one to give his life. In this, very interesting. First and foremost, it suggests maybe that originally Blizzard did want Malfurion to die all the way back then, or more specifically, perhaps Malfurion's story was supposed to be a lot bigger than what we got in the subsequent expansions. Because if you think about it, why save Malfurion on that day when since then Malfurion has genuinely not done much. Malfurion have, for the most part, even in the book Shadows Rising, Malfurion sits there quiet. He doesn't even really speak in the book. So clearly Blizzard had a plan maybe for Malfurion, but that plan never really came to fruition. And so now Malfurion is about to die. If you've been following this channel for a while now, and you've been paying attention, and more specifically, if you've been a supporter of the channel, you would have heard me say this many times before. Malfurion's story was supposed to come to an end actually a while ago. Right before Shadowlands launched, myself and some of the mods on the channel had conversations with insiders at Blizzard, and we were able to get some of the potential future stories that would have played itself out in Shadowlands. One of these stories is the story of Malfurion's death. Now, at the time, the idea was actually a lot more dramatic. The idea that they had at the time was that Tyrande would be the one to kill Malfurion. And it would come actually very specifically, Malfurion would stop Tyrande from taking Sylvanas' life. You guys remember the cinematic where Elune withdraws her power from Sylvanas or from Tyrande at the moment that Tyrande is about to kill Sylvanas? The essence of that cinematic was supposed to be Malfurion. He would have been the one to stop Tyrande, but in her fit of rage, she actually kills Malfurion because he is standing between her and her prey. Now, Malfurion stops Tyrande because Malfurion recognizes that Sylvanas' story is not yet over. Sylvanas' role in the fate of the universe is not yet done. And in this, we are going to speculate in a second, but Malfurion dies, and this is the moment where Tyrande actually rejects Elune's power. That sorrow, that heartbreak of realizing what she had done is too much for her, and she ultimately ends up rejecting Elune. And this was supposed to, at least according to sources, it was supposed to kick off this massive storyline around Tyrande, Elune, and Elune's relationship with the Night Elves in general. There were some rumors that we would have uncovered that Elune actually sacrificed the Night Elves with the burning of Teldrassil for some purpose. So there were a lot of storylines, and also I think in this I should throw in the original storyline for the Shadowlands was also meant to be a lot darker. It was actually meant to be a lot deeper. This is why Ian and Danusa and everyone before the Shadowlands kept saying things like, oh, Sylvanas really is a grey character, morally grey. You guys won't understand now because you've only seen half of the picture. You haven't seen the full picture yet. And then, of course, we saw the full picture. And Sylvanas, it wasn't just that they failed to portray her as a morally grey character. It's that her actions are not morally grey. So clearly there was a rewrite at some point that decided to go a completely different direction, which then sort of makes all the preceding storylines feel a little bit less than. But, that's just my opinion. Maybe you loved the fact that there was a rewrite. Maybe you're listening at the direction they originally wanted to take it, and you think, oh my god, that would have been worse. So, I don't know. For me, I think that would have been so dramatic. Maybe a little bit bad, but so dramatic. Let's talk about, quickly, the community and the outrage there. Because the community clearly not very happy, as you can imagine. Many people are angry. I think Blizzard have always had a real big problem with writing Malfurion, for good reason. I think shattering the dreams and hopes of all classes that aren't druids. Malfurion isn't just powerful. Malfurion is effectively Madan levels of powerful. Lore-wise, if we're really going to do a one-for-one comparison, there isn't really any character that can stand against Malfurion. Malfurion literally has the power of Azeroth herself. He has the power of nature. Malfurion is incredibly strong. And so Blizzard have always had to find ways of almost pretending or sort of circumventing his power levels in a way to make him seem a little bit more mortal, so that he doesn't just walk into a battlefield and just destroy things, just completely end the war. If Blizzard were to treat Malfurion the way that he's supposed to be and the power levels that he should have, Sylvanas and the Horde would have attacked Teldrassil, Malfurion would have walked out, and he would simply have killed the army of the Horde. It's as simple as that. He would have let the vines and the trees rise up and just destroy Sylvanas' army, and then he would have killed Sylvanas, because nature literally does his bidding for him. So Malfurion, a little too powerful, and that might be why Blizzard have always had this really hard time bringing Malfurion into the game. There are books where Malfurion is incredible, but in the game, Blizzard have always had a very difficult sort of relationship with Malfurion. And I think it's been clear that Malfurion's story is at an end. There's been multiple times now where Malfurion have either been left in the background, not really featuring. Whenever you need him, he's sleeping somewhere. And the one time that he did feature, he was basically at death's door for most of that. And now Blizzard is sort of circling back and saying, right, you remember the time that he was at death's door? Yeah, it's kind of over now. This is the time for him to die. Kind of, this is why I have such a big problem with Shadowlands, because prior to Shadowlands, if you told me that Malfurion was going to die, I would have been quite upset. Because it's Malfurion, this guy he's been a part of this franchise and the story for such a long time. To just see him be removed would have been horrible. But now, after seeing the Shadowlands, not that bad. So he's going to go to Arnweald. He's going to chill there. He's going to be a demigod and shit. He's probably going to be back at some point, right? He's going to go to Arnweald. He's almost definitely going to become a demigod because he is super powerful. And then he's going to come back and he's just going to be chilling. So yeah, it kind of gave us a look behind the veil of death, and we realized it's not that bad. This is also why the original story of the Shadowlands intrigued me so much, until I realized that massive rewrites were happening. It was meant to be a lot darker. The whole Sylvanas as a morally grey character was actually meant to be that. We were supposed to discover that the Shadowlands is not as just as it claims to be. And we were actually at some point, I think, this is just me thinking about it, based on what Ian and the team had to say before and then after Shadowlands. At some point, we probably were supposed to swap to help Sylvanas take down the Shadowlands. Maybe not help Zuval, but definitely help Sylvanas take down the Shadowlands. This is why Sylvanas also tells the Loyalists, when next you see me, you will understand. And then, of course, when we next saw her, we still didn't quite understand. So, I would have preferred the darker writing. As most of you know, I still don't trust the Eternal Ones. I still think they're evil. Even though the story does not reflect that, I think it would have been much better if they were evil. Anyways, I wanted to bring you guys this spoiler, potential spoiler, because right now it is sort of only data mined and leaks at best, but it could very easily be true. So, wanted to highlight that for you so that you guys at least knew. Of course, the Sisters of Fate being again referenced here, not the sisters, but Fate being referenced and almost talked about by Malfurion again, as if Fate has a conscience, as if Fate can make decisions. Very, very cool. And I can't wait to dive into this. But that is just my opinion. I want to know from you. Are you looking forward to this? Is this a story that you would love to dive into? Let me know in the comment section down below. How do you feel about Malfurion potentially dying in Dragonflight? Is this the end for you? Are you very angry, or are you fine with it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed the speculation and talk around it. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Hey, you're forgiven for that. Well, let's just pretend this never happened. To all of the patrons, Twitch subs, and YouTube channel members, thank you so much for your support. It means the absolute world to me, you degenerate fucks. I love you guys. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out, fam.